James sat at the table, heart racing as the cards were dealt. The casino lights flickered, casting long shadows over the room. He'd been riding a wave of good luck all night, his chips stacked high, and adrenaline kept him tethered to the felt. But this table, this game, felt different. He glanced up at the dealer, an enigmatic figure with a knowing smile, hands shuffling the cards effortlessly. "One more hand?" the dealer asked, voice dripping with temptation. James nodded, confident but weary, as he pushed his pile of chips forward. The stakes were high, but the thrill of it all drove him to keep going. The cards flipped, a sharp tug in his gut. He lost. He blinked, shifting in his seat as a sudden tingling spread across his chest. His shirt felt tighter. He looked down, confused, but shrugged it off. Must be the nerves. The dealer's grin widened. "Care for another?" James, always a gambler, scooped up more chips. "Sure, let's go again." The cards were dealt again, and James watched with growing apprehension. He felt off balance, his mind unfocused. When the cards revealed his second loss, that tingling sensation returned, but stronger this time. His chest tightened painfully, his nipples brushing against the fabric of his shirt, sensitive in a way they hadn't been before. He shifted in his seat, discomfort twisting through him. His legs felt strange, longer, and his hips were his hips wider? He shook his head, trying to focus. "Just bad luck," he muttered, hands trembling. "Another hand?" the dealer asked, his voice low, almost teasing. James hesitated but nodded. This had to turn around. But with every deal, he felt the losses in his body before the cards even hit the table. His skin prickled with sensation, his shirt straining against a chest that was undeniably swelling. His hands flew to his torso, but it wasn't just his chest. His waist had cinched inward, his hips spreading under the table, thighs pressing tightly against each other. His pants were becoming unbearably tight, the fabric digging into his softening skin. "What the hell?" he whispered, panic creeping into his voice. But as the dealer slid the next hand forward, James couldn't tear his eyes away from the cards, desperate for a win, for something to bring him back to normal. He was losing something more than just the game. He lost again. This time, the change hit him all at once. His chest swelled fully, breasts pressing insistently against the straining fabric of his shirt. His arms, once muscular, were now slender and smooth. He could feel his hair growing longer, falling in soft waves past his shoulders. His legs, impossibly long and toned, crossed without him even thinking, the subtle movement sending a jolt of pleasure through him. His mind fogged over as the new sensations crashed into him. His thoughts, once sharp, focused on the game, became hazy, lost in the overwhelming sensitivity of his transformed body. He couldn't concentrate on the cards anymore, not with the way his clothes clung to his newly voluptuous form, the way every movement sent a shock of pleasure through him. The dealer leaned forward, sliding the last set of cards into place. James. No. Was that even his name anymore? Couldn't think straight. His lips, fuller and softer, parted as a low moan escaped him. His entire body buzzed with a pleasure he hadn't known before, his mind slipping further into the fog. "You've lost," the dealer said, softly, eyes gleaming. And in that moment, James realized he didn't care about the game anymore. The person he had been was already fading, replaced by someone softer, someone more attuned to the sensations that now ruled his body. His past self, with all its ambitions and identity, felt distant, a part of him that didn't matter anymore. The dealer's grin deepened. "Would you like to play again?" She smiled, her chest rising and falling with the subtle rhythm of her breath. The chips glistened under the dim casino lights, but now she wasn't concerned about winning anymore. All that mattered was the sensation of being, of feeling. "Yes," she whispered, voice thick and breathy. "Deal me in."